Good morning, everyone. A very good morning. Shall we begin the session? Today's topic is chapter number 8, that is a measurement, analysis, and the improvement. So we should wait for others. All right. So the first part of this is the summary of the requirement that is used, that is vital to the development process, that is vital to the achievement of the quality, that is a measurement, analysis, and the improvement processes. And until we measure using the devices of the non-integrity, we know little about the process or its outcome. But when we measure using the instrument that are unfit for the purpose, we will be misled by the results, and whether the results of the valid measurements, we can make a judgment on the basis of the fact that will be used, that we met with the target, and analysis of the fact that will tell us whether the target can be met using the same methods of the same betterment, same methods, or whether the target is right target to aim for. So whether the target is very good right or very right for the aim target or not. And the measurements without a target value to compare results of the measurement are the measurements without a purpose. So that is also used without a purpose, and the target value is therefore vital, but values that is demotivate personnel. And target should always focus on the purpose, so that through the chain of the measures from corporate objective to component dimension, there is a soundly based relationship between the targets, measures, objectives, and the purpose of the organization, process, or the product. So whatsoever the purpose, whatsoever the target that is used with the objective with the organization, process, or the product. And the measurement tells us whether there has been a change in the performance or not. Change is a constant and it exists in everything and is caused by the physical, social, or the economic forces. And when we measure the same parameters on the different items, we expect slight variations, because what are the slight variations? There are some parameter that is used for the measurement. There are some parameter that is used for the evaluation, but the inaccuracies, inconsistent that is used, so this will lead to the measuring system that leads to the variation in the reading. So to understand change, we need to understand its cause. Some changes represented by the variation about a norm and it's predictable, that is a natural phenomenon of a process, and when it is applicable or acceptable limits, that is tolerable. And once the changes is represented by the erratic behavior, it is not predictable, it is not done, but its cause can be determined, and we can say eliminated through the measurement, analysis, and the design. And when we say about the measurement analysis that is used, so that are the sub processes that is used within the process, that is used within the business scenarios. And however, the parent process will often capture data from monitoring and the measurement within the sub process. And this may happen from the data or from the facts, from accessing the values, from getting the values done in the individual processes to determine the customer satisfaction, or for discovering common cause problems and subsequently devising the company-wide improvement programs. And there's a sort of logic in the structure of the requirement in this section, but there are some gap that will be used with the understanding if the same terms are used within the headings that is used within the relationship. And it should not be assumed that whenever we are requiring or whenever we are getting the requirements, all the requirements of the measurement, analysis, and the improvement. So measurement and the monitoring is also addressed by management representative in the context of reporting on system performance, management review in the context of reviewing the system adequacy. So one is in the context of reporting on system performance, one is in the context of reviewing the system adequacy. The next is control of the monitoring and the measuring devices. That is, what is the main controlling that is done with the monitoring and the measuring devices. Then design and development verification. So there is a design part, there is a development part that is also used within this one. Then design and the development validations. One is a verification, one is a development. Then verification of the purchase product. So whenever we are using the verification, that is used with the purchase product. So measurement and monitoring is addressed by the management representative, management review, control of the monitoring, design and development verification, design and development validation, then verification of the purchase product. The next one is analysis that is also addressed by the management review in the context of the changes that would affect the management system, control of the design and the development changes in the context of the evaluation of the effect of the change, control of the monitoring and the measuring devices in the context of the measuring systems. And whenever it is done, it is also addressed by the management review in the context of the changes to the quality policy, control of the design and the development changes, internal communication in the context of communicating the effectiveness of the management system, provision of the resources in the context of resources needed for continual improvement. So whatsoever the resources, whatsoever the data, whatsoever the reviews that is used, so that is used for the internal communication, that is used for the provision of the resources. Now, next is monitoring, measurement, analysis, and improvement processes. So whatsoever the monitoring processes, measurement processes, analysis processes. This standard requires organization to plan and implement the monitoring, measurement, analysis, and improvement processes that is needed to demonstrate conformity of the product, that include determination of the applicable products, methods such as the statistical techniques and the extent of their use, whatsoever the data, whatsoever the analysis that is used with the improvement process. Now, what is the meaning of this? So this requirement or the requirement for monitoring, measurement, improvement that is to be planned means that these activities should not be left to chance. It is owed that the requirements are limited to the processes that is needed to demonstrate conformity of the product and not all the processing or the data. However, this should not be taken too literally, but because almost every process in an organization is done will impact the product either directly or indirectly. For example, if training processes are not monitored, untrained staff could produce non-conforming products. And if the management processes are not monitored, result producing processes may be starved of the resources and consequently impact the product. The monitoring process, identifying the standards that are needed to demonstrate conformity of the product are: one is a monitoring of customer satisfaction, then monitoring of the product includes a design and development review. And these are the processes that keep operations under the conditions, under the periodic or the continual observation in order to make the events before they can occur. And this is so that action can be taken to prevent the non-conformity. And that there is a typical monitoring processes that are employed to check that machines are functioning correctly. Processes are under the statistical control, but there are no serious bottleneck that is used with this. Now the analysis process identifying the standard are design, development, review, corrective action, and the preventive action. Now why this is necessary? This is the next question. Because this requirement leads to the response to the factual approach principle. Monitoring, measurement, analysis, and improvement processes are necessary to control the quality, cost, and delivery of the output. And where the monitoring and the measurement processes needed to demonstrate conformity of the product are performed, they should form a part of a plan, the intention of which is to discover whether the product conforms to the requirements. Having discovered that information, it should also be planned, it should also be monitored, whether the information is passed through the analysis processes or the decision makers, so the decisions on the product are made on the basis of the fact, not on the opinion, because this will lead to the factual approach principle. Now how it is implemented, that is used for planning the monitoring, measurement, and the analysis process. So whether the monitoring or the measuring are done, the processes are very similar and consist of a uniform series of the elements. What are the various series of elements? One is the characteristics to be measured or monitored, the units of the measure, standard or the specification to be achieved, sensor for detecting the variance, human and the physical resources for collecting, analyzing, transmitting, and presenting the data, Interpretation and verification of the results, decisions on the action needed, then taking the action. Yes, all these elements are come under the control of the monitoring, control of the measurement. Measuring and the monitoring devices. Now, whenever we are using the control plan for the manufacturing operation, that is as follows: operation description, characteristics, specification, measurement techniques, sample size and the frequency. Then control method, reaction plan. And for each production process, there should be a process specification that defines the standard operating conditions that needs to be maintained, that needs to be delivered, and the means by which variation in which these conditions is to be detected. The next one is determining the measurement methods. The standard that does not require you to use statistical techniques but identify the needs to them or needs for them. And one way of doing this is to use checklist while preparing or when preparing the customer satisfaction design specification and verification specification and the procedures. These checklists needs to prompt the user to state whether the product characteristics or the process capability will be determined using the techniques, and if so, which technique has to be used, which process which to be used. So techniques for establishing and controlling process capabilities are essentially the same, and the difference lies in what you do with the results. Firstly, you need to know if you want to make the deliver the process in compliance with the statistical process and control mechanisms that will be used in order to make the offline process monitoring to detect and correct the variance. Next is processes to ensure conformity of the management system. So this is used to plan and implement the monitoring, measurement, analysis, and improvement processes needed to ensure the conformity of the quality management system. That include determination of the applicable methods, such as the techniques and the various extent of the their usage. So one is a procedure for the corrective actions, procedure for the preventive actions, procedure for planning and implementing the internal quality audit. That is produced or that is used for the effectiveness, that is used for the right product, but they are not the right ones that is used for the quality manuals. One is a validation of processes, one is a measurement of processes. One is the internal audit, one is analysis of data. Next question is why this is so necessary, because it leads to the factual approach principle. Which leads to factual approach principle. These methods, these analysis that leads to the factual approach principle. And the more effective technique is to monitor and measure the processes and strive to reduce the variation in these processes. And by setting up the processes, they are capable or that are capable of delivering conformity product output, and then monitor, measure, and improve these processes so that process capabilities are ensured. Less independence need to put on the measuring product and auditing procedures, and as a result, less resources are utilized. Now these requirements are explained in other clause also, that are the various methods of addressing the various needs under the appropriate technology. And the standard requires organization to plan and implement the monitoring, measurement, analysis, and improvement process that is needed to continually improve the targets, improve the effectiveness of the quality management system that include determination of the applicable product, methods such as the statistical techniques, and the extent of their use. What is the meaning of this? That is identifying the standard to continually improve the effectiveness of the management system. That includes the management review of the requirements related to the product, then monitoring and the measurement of the processes. But this leads to the management or the change management process. This responds to the continual improvement principle. How it is implemented?